Going to draw my round table here. And then I've got 5 people to seat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to draw a box for their name and one for where they are from in each case. Okay, so that's a pretty good setup. The first piece of information says the child from Aberdeen sits between Zach and the child from Edinburgh. So I'm just going to put Zach in at the bottom. And then I know that either side, and it doesn't really matter which way around it is. I'm sure we could reflect it at the end and the properties would still hold. So I'm going to say the person from Aberdeen is to their left and the person from Edinburgh is to their right. And I've managed to deal with this piece of information here. The first piece of information says that the child from Aberdeen sits between Zach and the child from Edinburgh. So the person from Aberdeen sits between Zach and the child from Edinburgh. Note, it doesn't matter that I'm going Zach is to the left here. I could put them to the right. We can reflect the table. We can rotate the table. It's still going to give us the same answer for who is next to each other. So I've dealt with this one here. Then it says, neither of the two girls is sitting next to Will. So if we put Will here, then you definitely end up next to a girl because there's 2 girls and there's only 3 spaces, 2 of which are next to Will. So that is not possible. And the same is true up here. Will can't sit here because then you can't have a girl here or here, but there's only then 1 space to put 2 of them. So this is not possible either. So Will is either here or here. And another consequence from this is that the 2 girls will be adjacent to each other. And Vince must be next to Will. To avoid Will sitting next to a girl. So he's got to have a boy either side. So if we put Will here, then Vince would be here, but then Vince wouldn't sit between Yvonne and the child from Durham. And so it must be that Will is here and then Vince is here. Okay, so you just have to write some words down to that effect. We know that Will is in one of those 2 places, but if we put Will here, we have to put Vince here, and then the information fails. So Will must be to the left of, well, in my diagram, to the left of Zach, and Vince next to them. So now Vince, well, I think we're getting there. Vince sits between Yvonne, so this must be Yvonne, and the child from Durham, so Will must be from Durham, meaning that Xenia must be the remaining person here. And we know that Zach writes the child from Cardiff, so Zach himself can't be from Cardiff. It must be that Vince is from Cardiff, which just leaves Zach from Belfast. And it all came together. The hardest bit, really, I think, was identifying Will and Vince, where they were, and then it came, yeah. So it all worked out. So I haven't written down all my reasons, but I have given them verbally. So make sure you write them down if you're doing this. Good logic problem. Well done.